Professional intro! This video is going to be about making money, or at the very least, doing things that help you save money in the long term. Let's go! When you're just starting out, one of the very first things you're going to want to do is get yourself a homestead and start prepping it up. Homesteads let you have crafting stations available to you whenever you want, wherever you want, as long as you're not inside a dungeon or something, so that you don't have to go running, say, all the way to Telton to train alchemy, or running back and forth to the logging aisle for carpentry. You can also have resources, especially herbs, stationed in your homestead for easy gathering when you need them. And a house can give you extra training experience through the expertise system. Just make sure that you start planning your homestead early and gather the resources necessary so that you can have them ready when you want to train. These gold herbs didn't crop up overnight. Alongside homestead making, training up your Belton Squires to be as good as they can be, around 450 of every stat for all the Belton Squires, can help you with making money as well. The Belton missions give you gold and experience just for having them complete, and you can do that while AFK, or even overnight. Additionally, the advanced Belton seals that you get from the level 20 missions can be used to get holy waters, find shadow crystals, potions of proficiency, gathering potions, tendering potions, wax wings, and even help make you money because they drop rare equipment that other players will probably pay a lot of money for, especially ancient golden crystals and metal shards and medals of courage. Another important thing to keep in mind when you're starting out is to budget your repair fees. A lot of new players want to just get the best weapon that they can have right off the bat so that they can do more damage, and that's a good thing generally, but you also have to keep in mind you might not be able to afford the repair fee. A lot of the endgame weapons have 10,000 gold per point repair fees, which is just not sustainable off the kind of content that a new player is going to use them for. When starting out, maybe just have a cheap weapon that you use for most things, and save any expensive weapons that you might come across, such as wands or Celtic Royal Knight swords, for bosses or other such. I even do this myself. You'll notice I'm not wearing any gear right now because I'm not actually running anything. Everything's in the style tab that I've been getting from event style keys. I also have 2 chain blades, one that actually does what I want it to do, and one for trash mobs. New players should definitely focus on getting at least one talent to master rank, especially a combat talent. Not only is this going to give you a way to defend yourself in dungeons and missions, and it'll help you get through the storyline, which can unlock more options for you, but having a master talent also means that you get access to Lord's missions and all the mission difficulties for shadow missions, which means that you can tag along with other players on the higher level missions to help accelerate your gold gain even more, even if you're not actually contributing at all. Having a higher combat level also means that you'll be able to train in a wider variety of places without having to feel like your safety is compromised, because you'll always have your backup skill set to rely on to get yourself out of a sticky situation if something goes wrong while you're training. Depending on what server you're on, you're probably going to have plenty of people that run the Aaron Martial Arts Tournament just for easy experience and gold. If you can just hitch a ride with them, a lot of times players will just let you take up the 6th slot in their party, and just sit around and don't bother them, and you'll gain money that way. It may not be the most honorable thing to do, but it works. Once you start running things on your own, definitely make sure you pick up all of the gold that gets on the ground. You might underestimate how much money you gain just from picking up gold. And in that way, investing in a doll bag is actually very useful, especially ones like the Christelle doll bag or the Moonlight Hammer Fergus doll bag that pick up cobwebs, since cobwebs can be easily gathered using a doll bag as well, and that way the bag will serve a dual purpose. In particular, while it may seem rather expensive to get a doll bag right off the bat, I strongly recommend it. Much like having a big gold pouch helps you make more money in the long term, A doll bag will eventually pay for itself by just helping you gather up money and run missions faster, since you don't have to be doing it by hand. Once you have a doll bag and you've got a combat talent ready to go, shadow missions are by far the best way to gain gold, as well as experience. The Aaron Martial Arts Tournament is also really nice, but probably not something you're looking to solo right now. But Battle for Telton 1, their method, and other shadow missions that you can easily solo very quickly can be a nice way to get money. Just make sure that you're keeping your repair fees low enough so that you're still making a profit. It doesn't matter if you can make 100,000 gold over the course of 4 runs or so, if it costs you 120,000 gold to repair afterwards. And lastly, Horde Everything. If you have the spare inventory space, don't throw anything away. Whether that be leftovers from life skill training, whether that be leathers that fell on the ground while you were training, whether that be really anything and everything, don't throw it away. You'll probably need it later, especially leathers. Or even if you don't need it later, because you somehow know all of the content in the game as a new player and you've planned out everything meticulously beforehand, new content comes around all the time and events need things that you might not be able to expect. I know a lot of people on the life skill update were stymied by this line right here, deliver 40 fine fabrics, because before the life skill update came out, they had already sold all their fine fabrics to players that were training tailoring, and then they got stuck. Whereas the players that hoarded all of their fabrics essentially bypassed it immediately. So hoard everything. And now some things that I want to caution people against doing before it's too late. Number 1, do not run dungeons for money. Dungeons can be great for experience, dungeons can be great for getting loot, and oftentimes you'll need to run dungeons just for getting a certain skill book. But if you're looking to make money, dungeons are not your friend. Oftentimes the cost of getting a pass, or the cost of just the repair fees to run a harder dungeon, and the equipment necessary to get through it in a timely fashion, are not going to be balanced out by your end chest reward. Even Rabbi Phantasm only drops somewhere around 50 to 80,000 gold per chest. Unless you manage to get some really good loot, that's not going to make up for the amount of gold that went into making the pass. I also caution against doing life skills too early. Life skills are great, but life skills are super expensive. I know a lot of players want to be able to craft things early on, or they see that life skills are cheap in AP, so they think, oh, that's a great source for skills and stats. No, they are extremely expensive, and hamstringing your finances early on in your Mabi career is just going to make it harder for you to make money later. Remember that it takes money to make money. And if you're putting all your funds into a couple ranks of a life skill, that's things that you're not putting into improving your gear, getting doll bags, funding your house, which is rather expensive in and of itself. Avoid life skills until you can afford to train them in the most efficient way possible, then do them. You don't want to be wasting Now Stones, Guardian Stones, repair fees, and just your time and effort trying to run a dungeon that you're simply not going to clear. If you're new, stay away from advanced and hard mode dungeons unless you've got someone carrying you. It's much easier to just come back when you're better prepared. You don't have to run very advanced on your own for that music knowledge skill book just because you want to train up that music knowledge skill to get some easy intelligence because you're a mage and intelligence is great. Spending resources inefficiently will bite you in the long run in this game, and in this game, you want to be playing for the long run. Do the things that help you make money,